This is Franchise Today, brought to you by FRM Solutions, providers of the best-in-class software solutions for franchise relationship management. Franchise Today is your destination for weekly information, conversations, and interviews with accomplished industry leaders, all of whom share best practices for sustainable growth and sensible franchising. Here now, your host, Stan Friedman, to kick off this week's podcast.
Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. I'm Stan Friedman, and this is Franchise Today. Well, has this ever been a week of firsts? The first came after being featured on a podcast elsewhere and having so much fun being the guest while being interviewed by Shannon Wilburn and Tracy Panase on their Franchise Leaders Forum podcast that, with their permission, I decided to simulcast that interview right here on Franchise Today. Not only did this allow me the opportunity to help my friends Tracy and Shannon spread the word about their new pod, it also gave me the rare pleasure of having the script flipped, moving me from the role of interviewer to that of the guest. This gave me an opportunity, too, to help you learn a bit more about my story and career, which began in broadcasting and led to some 36 subsequent years in franchising. So that was the first of the week. The second first came when Atlanta got smacked by a once-in-a-lifetime weather phenomenon. I'm talking here about Category 4 Hurricane Helene, which made history by approaching the South Atlanta metro hundreds of miles from landfall at Florida's Big Bend, and doing so still a Category 2 storm with 100-mile-per-hour winds and dropping close to 12 inches of rain on the Atlanta metro before all was said and done. Now, I'm happy to report a night's sleep is all it cost me as compared to thousands who lost trees, their homes, vehicles, and of course, far too many closer to landfall who didn't heed the call to evacuate and in some cases faced devastating injuries or loss of life. My house in the northern suburbs of Atlanta is surrounded by tall trees, many of them pines, which are the first to go in strong storms. We had 2 solid days of rain here before the hurricane arrived, so the ground was soft and prime pickings for what were forecast to be winds as high as 65 to 70 miles per hour, with gusts even higher. No, we fared well as compared to others, but were smart enough not to sleep upstairs, where if a tree did drop and hit the house, well, things could have turned out much differently. So there you have it, a couple of firsts. Today, just ahead of hearing from Stephanie Johnson, yet another fabulous woman in franchising and Vice President of Marketing for AlphaGraphics, POSTNET and World Options, let me remind you to please pay a visit to www.franchisetodaypodcast.com. Drop me a line, make guest recommendations, and of course, leave a review, letting others know how much you enjoy Franchise Today. It will mean a great deal to me, so thanks in advance for doing so. Okay, it's time for a timeout, but Stephanie Johnson is up next when I return in 2 minutes or less. Stay right there.
Franchise Today will be right back, but first, a word from our sponsors.
We are all familiar with Vistage, YPO, and EO. Well, now comes Zor Forum, a somewhat similar type of executive group, but this one comes with a twist. Zor Forum groups are exclusively for franchisors. Imagine a peer group for sharing and networking on a platform built exclusively for franchise executives. Zor Forum members are afforded unparalleled access to best practices and some of the brightest minds within the franchising world through regular meetings and a dedicated communications platform. In this post-COVID world, a franchise-specific mastermind or peer group is an endeavor worth making time for. Zor Forum groups of 6 to 10 will bring leaders together that are in similar situations, but with exclusivity in terms of their competitive set, so that each can openly help others benefit from their respective knowledge, perspective, and experience with no fear of competitive loss. Network, learn, strategize, and remain motivated along your journey. Join a peer group, not just any peer group. Join the only one designed for emerging franchisors. Join Zor Forum. Learn more at zorforum.com. That's www.zorforum.com. Stephanie Johnson has a strong background in marketing and communications. In 2019, she joined AlphaGraphics as a marketing campaign manager and later became vice president of marketing for AlphaGraphics and sister brands POSTNET and World Options. Throughout her career, Stephanie has demonstrated her strong skill set in marketing and communications and has consistently been recognized for her leadership abilities. After listening to her today, it won't take long for you to understand why. Stephanie Johnson, welcome to Franchise Today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you for being a listener. I love knowing that people that I bring on board are people who have heard the show before they've been invited to talk on it. So thank you back.
Yes, absolutely. I love listening to the show, and I've gotten some really great recommendations from some of the people you've interviewed. So thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. We try to do our best to get the right people tuned into the right people.
I think that you're doing a great job. I think that there's quite a few podcasts around franchising out there, and it is wonderful to be able to have the opportunity to hear from other people in franchising outside of just the IFA events that we go to. So yeah.
Could not agree with you more. Now, you're going to have to start by helping me and helping the audience learn, what does it mean when your name has a comma following it and behind the comma is MSIMC?
So MSIMC is Masters of Science in Integrated Marketing Communications. And that was my master's degree that I got. It taught me so much of what I know, and I'm so grateful that I went through the program. So that's what it means.
Well, that's good to know. I never came across that designation. I saw it on your LinkedIn and I thought, first question right out of the box, what's that?
No, it's really a fantastic, well-rounded marketing program. Just when I think about the best practices that I try to implement within our marketing system here at our brands, a lot of it is drawn from what I learned through that.
Well, why don't we do what we do every week, Stephanie? Why don't we kick off by finding out what it was that caused you to get connected to franchising? And what were you doing before then?
So I don't have the most exciting story compared to some of the other people that you've interviewed on how they got into franchising. Before this, I worked for a very large safety association in the Chicagoland area. It was a wonderful experience, and I was grateful to kind of rise through the ranks there. And it was when I decided that I wanted to relocate to Denver. I moved out here and I really decided that it was time for me to really settle my roots here, find a new company to be able to call home. And right when I got that mindset is when suddenly a recruiter reached out to me from AlphaGraphics. And I was so excited because when I was reading about the company who I'd heard of before and the job description, I felt like it was perfect for me. And it really progressed naturally. And I loved everybody that I met. And it kind of just went from there, went through a pretty long interview process, had to meet with a lot of people. And I just couldn't be happier that I landed where I did.
What year would that have been?
So that was in 2018 was when I started interviewing in December. And then I started in January of 2019.
Well, I love the story that you shared, though, because there's an old adage that goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so that recruiter found you, obviously, because the universe was talking and said, dial her up.
That is exactly how I feel. Honestly, when I had decided that I was going to move, I knew that I really needed to start thinking about it and exploring options. But it was finally when I was like, you know what? The new year is coming up and I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to find my next home. And as in my next role that I could call home, a new team. And it really appeared in front of me. It really felt like it was something from the universe. So I feel that way too.
Was Brian Spindell part of the organization still in those years?
Brian Spindell was at POSTNET at the time. So I was not supporting POSTNET yet, but yes, he was there. I got to meet with him and work with him very briefly. But yes, he was at POSTNET headquarters.
So you had no prior franchise experience. What did you do to get yourself the fast track to education to take and hone the skills that you brought with you to the franchising world instead of association management?
Well, I will say, I do think that there were some strong parallels between the association world and what we're doing in franchising. My work in enhancing the profession, our work in understanding our members' needs to be able to help them to achieve the greatest growth through professional development tools. I feel like that lingo is very similar to what we say in franchising and what we do to try to support our entrepreneurs, our franchisees. And so there were some commonalities there. So I started off as our marketing campaign manager and, I was thrown into the deep end pretty quickly. I saw immediately some opportunities for us to be able to enhance our marketing program, bring some new structure, and begin building the team. And it was working with my boss, Ryan Ferris, and helping understand more of the intricacies within franchising, getting close with our committees as well, like getting close to our franchisees, understanding more about their challenges and what they're looking for in the marketing program, what would support them best, and then just time and experience and trying new things and learning.
And so how long were you there before you elevated into VP of marketing role? What was your progression? What did it look like?
So it was 1 year. And it was interesting because I got the promotion in February of 2020. And the plan was for me to implement the plan that we had created at the start of the year. But then when the pandemic hit, yes, suddenly none of that was really as relevant anymore. And so we had to really pivot. And as much as that was an extremely stressful situation to go through, it really did push me into having to rise to the occasion and become a strong leader very quickly. And so again, that was not a fun experience for anyone, but I do look back on that situation and I'm able to see the strength that I was able to get from it and how it did really force me to step into the light and do what I know is best and be confident in myself. And since that time, we've also evolved. It was just AlphaGraphics at the time that I was supporting. And now in August, I believe, of 2020 is when we also started supporting POSTNET and then most recently World Options as well. So it's been such an amazing journey with a lot of growth.
Why don't we talk a little about these brands and help the audience understand what it is they do, and then you can help us understand what you do in support of that. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit more in depth about AlphaGraphics?
So AlphaGraphics is a leading franchisor of printing and marketing solutions. We have an amazing network of about 230 franchise locations across the United States. We offer a wide variety of printing and marketing services from design, print, signage, and promotional items. These are all tailored to meet the needs of businesses of all sizes. And we really take pride in our ability to help our customers bring their ideas to life. So that's at a high level what we do at AlphaGraphics.
So how do you support your franchisees and their efforts? And what is it that you do to help a franchisee support their local business? What does that look like?
So the marketing team at AlphaGraphics is focused on a couple key components. The first is around brand awareness and lead generation that's doing national campaigns as well as providing local marketing support to our owners. And that's an area especially that we've got some exciting things in the works on. And another area that we own is product management and new product development. And so that's working with our customers, people who look like our target audience to understand what their needs are, what their unmet needs are, and evolving our product lines to be able to make sure that we continue to meet those needs. And then another final area of marketing that we've really started to enhance in the past few years is internal communications. I think a lot of people, when they think about communications and marketing, they're thinking about external PR. We also strongly focus on internal communications within the marketing team. So I have a team member specifically focused on making sure that we have clear and concise communication with our owners and that they're aware of the initiatives that are taking place and just making sure that we're all walking in lockstep. So those are the three areas and ways that my team is supporting our network.
All right. Well, we have to do this. We have to ask you, because you put the mile marker out there about the year was 2020 and you were coming out with a whole new plan, and all of that hit the brakes when COVID was upon us. So looking back now, 4 years from then, how much of what changed in 2020 is still part of the lexicon today? And how much is brand new since 2020 that you never did before and it's become an all important part of the business?
Wow. What a good question. So Man, that was definitely a challenging time. Everyone had to really pivot and figure out how to adapt in this new world. And while the pandemic was a difficult time for everyone, I do look back and I feel proud of the evolution that we had in our marketing during that time. While many brands were cutting back on their marketing, I feel proud that we decided to go big. We asked ourselves, how could we come out on top of this? How can we increase our marketing investment? We executed innovative marketing strategies that we hadn't explored before and really showed our franchisees what we could do when we invest more. And we've kept that standard going for ourselves since then. One of the things that we launched during the pandemic was something called our Make It Happen campaign. We knew that at AlphaGraphics, we were uniquely suited to be able to help small businesses come out of the pandemic. And we also wanted to be able to show our commitment to our communities. And so we launched the Make It Happen contest, where we went in search of 3 small businesses in the community who were very impacted by the pandemic. We wanted to offer them a $25,000 brand makeover and help them come out on top. So utilizing all of our full capabilities from print, signage, design, even digital marketing services in some cases to really transform those businesses and tell that story along the way. And having something that exciting, compelling, it really got our brand out there in a way that was new. We utilized marketing channels that we hadn't done before, such as brand ambassadors, social media influencers, and really saw amazing results in our awareness from that effort. And being able to show our franchisees that when we increase our investment and we do things like this, it really yields great results. And so since then, we've just maintained that standard. We concluded Make It Happen this past year. And moving into this year, we've launched a really amazing campaign called Bring Your Brand to Life that still has great storytelling, just great high quality commercial grade videos that tell the story of how we support businesses such as restaurants, nonprofits, and education verticals, but just continuing to make strong investments in our marketing, exploring new channels, and being on the cutting edge is something that's continued to be important to us.
My takeaway, if I'm understanding you correctly, is that your marketing is to the customer of your franchisee, and that customer is typically small businesses in that community. Am I grabbing that correctly?
In this case, we were telling the story of small businesses that we transformed, but we are able to support businesses of all sizes. And so following small businesses, we actually got into large nonprofits and did event makeovers for them, from Best Buddies to American Humane to a beautiful nonprofit organization called Madeline's Fund. But we also are able to support multi-location businesses as well, such as franchises.
But the message that I hear is the power of the AlphaGraphics brand from a global perspective type company is the ability to deliver the kind of support to help franchisees at the street level have tools available to them to serve the businesses of all sizes that they serve. But they'd never have that kind of clout or power to hit the gas like that without the strength of the brand at the corporate level. Well, you've just explained the whole value proposition of AlphaGraphics to the audience.
Thank you. Yeah, we really take a lot of responsibility on my team in making sure that we're able to leverage the clout of the national brand, being able to advertise at a national level and really be effective that way.
I'll tell you what, Stephanie, why don't we cut for a break right here? And when we come back, let's talk about the other brands and what it is you do in support of them.
I would love to.
You're listening to Franchise Today. I'm Stan Friedman, talking today with Stephanie Johnson, Vice President of Marketing for AlphaGraphics, POSTNET, and World Options. We're going to learn more about that when we come back. Don't go away.
Franchise Today will be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Franchise Today is brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering the only CRM tool built exclusively for franchising that lets you have it your way. Whether you're a single brand needing professional tools across departments or a portfolio of brands needing franchise-specific CRM across the enterprise. Either way, FRM satisfies the needs of many with the power of one. That's right, one single instance of FRM is all it takes across departments departments, or across brands. So if you've had it with inflexible, one-size-fits-all CRM, end your frustration today. FRM offers robust dashboarding, tailored reporting, and with open APIs, FRM pushes, pulls, and integrates with other databases, providing you with a single source of truth. Don't just take my word for it. Visit them at frmsolutions.com and order up a demo today. And we continue the conversation today with Stephanie Johnson, Vice President of Marketing for AlphaGraphics, POSTNET, and World Options. So we got a pretty good head start getting into the depth of what it is that you do to help AlphaGraphics do what it does. Stephanie, why don't we take a minute or two talking about POSTNET and World Options? And also, the word pivot came up a few times in that first segment. Pivot was my word of the year in 2020. My word of the year in 2021 was frictionless. Everything had to move to frictionless. And I'm wondering if that has any significance to any of the brands or all of them in your case.
Well, explain to me more when you describe frictionless to the audience. What specifically do you mean by that? Because I have one idea in mind and I want to make sure.
To me, everything that used to be touch this or do that, or just things that made the consumer experience less friction, less touch points, being able to transact with more ease and simplicity than prior to COVID.
So when I think about frictionless and what that means working with AlphaGraphics, our national programs and a new solution that we're putting out called AG Enterprise is what comes to mind. And it's something that we're really excited about. AG Enterprise is essentially it's a platform that allows for multi-location businesses, such as franchises, to have their own e-commerce storefront populated with all of their brands' print, signage, and marketing materials. It's managed by the franchisor, and the franchisees are able to order all of their marketing and print materials from it. So think repeat print products such as loyalty cards, menus, to one-off seasonal promotions. Like we've got a customer who does seasonal window clings that communicate their promotions at the time. Those print jobs are then produced at the nearest AlphaGraphics location, which is super convenient, saves on shipping costs, and it really is that one-stop shop for franchises or multi-location businesses that are seeking professional printing and marketing solutions. So talk about frictionless, like being able to send your franchisees to just one online location where you can ensure that they have a consistent on-brand marketing collateral or signage, whatever it may be, and be able to have it in hand easily and quickly.
You hit the nail right on the head with the intent when I asked the questions.
Great.
All right, so let's pivot. Let's talk about POSTNET and World Options and a little bit about those brands and your interaction with them.
So as I mentioned, I started working with POSTNET in 2020, and I absolutely love this brand. So POSTNET offers high quality printing and shipping solutions, and we are really focused on just helping our customers succeed. As compared to AlphaGraphics, POSTNET is more catered to that micro business audience that's doing smaller print jobs, just to be able to differentiate between the two. And then adding that shipping component too. So when you think about us and our kind of platform of brands, it's around being able to support the growth of micro and small and medium sized businesses. And so that's where POSTNET fits into this. And one of the things that I love about POSTNET and stood out to me is I remember when I first met with the marketing committee for that brand, and I'm so excited to work with you. Tell me more about what are some of your favorite campaigns that you've seen the brand do that you think resonate the most and have achieved the best outcomes. And I expected them to talk about whatever their most expensive product or service is. Like, we really love when people order wide format signs from us because it's a high price point, high margin product. But they looked at me and they were like, we love our customers campaign that we do in February of every single year. We are so committed to our customers. We go above and beyond for them. And as a marketer and as a storyteller, it's really an amazing thing, an amazing opportunity for my team and something that we love about them and something that's been a huge differentiator in this space as well. And so as we talk about the support and what my team has been really excited to work on with the POSTNET brand, it's also in a similar brand awareness vein that I was discussing as it related to AlphaGraphics. But how do we communicate better to the world what POSTNET does and what makes us special and what are our differentiators? And so one of the things that came out of that was the first name basis campaign was the national campaign that we launched for POSTNET right in about 2021, 2022. And it's around some insight that we received in our customer research where we learned that POSTNET customers experience a kinship with us. They see themselves in us. Like they are small businesses, micro businesses who hustle, have a lot of grit. They see that in our POSTNET franchisees as well. And so they put their trust in us. They see themselves in us. And we knew that there was a way for us to put our best foot forward in our marketing and really telling that story, that we could do more to generate brand awareness, drive more leads by sharing this story, like this relationship that we have with our customers. And so that's been something that we've told for the last 2 years. And it's been super exciting because it's something all of our franchisees can stand behind. I remember standing in our annual conference and doing my presentation about this and talking about some of the amazing stories that we captured. And I looked at the audience and I said, raise your hand if this is a relationship that you also have with your customers. And like everybody did. Everybody had a story to tell. And so being able to equip them with tools, resources, marketing collateral for them to also be able to capture customer stories, participate in the campaign and implement it locally, that has been a really big focus for us. And we've just seen great results. It was a fantastic campaign. And so I'm talking a lot about the national component, but I'm also hoping that you're picking up on the local component that we also reinforce with our efforts. Like we really are of the mindset that marketing is it's like a symphony. It's got many different layers. There's the national level, there's the local level, there's the platform systems and tools that help make it easier. And all of these things work together in harmony. And so that's the way that I describe it and kind of how things function here.
It's perfectly clear to me, and I'm really enjoying hearing it. It's lighting up in my mind's eye. So well said. All right, let's not get too far along without mentioning World Options and tell us a little about what this new brand is all about.
So World Options is our newest brand to our family of brands, also supporting small and medium-sized businesses with their freight and shipping solutions. So one of the differentiators that stands out to me is that World Options, it specifically targets those small and medium-sized businesses. We provide them with a personalized shipping solution. It's both cost-effective and easy to manage through this user-friendly technology that we have. World Options offers a very simple and intuitive online platform. It allows for businesses to compare shipping rates, book their shipments, and track deliveries in real time, which makes logistics management much, much easier. Another differentiator is the exceptional customer support that we have. So each franchisee offers dedicated one-on-one customer service to those small businesses, ensuring that they receive personalized attention and support. This is something that we don't see among our competitors. And then lastly is that flexibility and choice. So World Options, we provide access to a broad range of carriers and services. This allows for businesses to choose the best shipping options for their specific needs rather than being locked into a single provider. And so from us as the franchisor being able to manage all of that, our franchisees are empowered to build strong relationships relationships with their clients. Us at HQ, we handle the critical back end functions like that customer service piece, also the accounting component. And this gives our franchisees the ability to focus on growing their businesses and nurturing relationships with them. So this dual approach, it allows for our franchisees to operate efficiently, effectively, combining the strength of our global brand with the agility of being a local business. So that's how I would describe them and all of the differentiators and what makes us so excited to work with them.
Sounds to me like the difference between somebody sitting down to try to book a vacation on their own or going to a kayak or an Expedia and having all the moving parts brought to you instead of trying to figure out what they're going to be.
Yes, exactly like that. Just presenting it all in one place, one platform, full transparency, and just makes it so much easier.
So, Stephanie, with all that you do and with all that's on your plate in the world that's changed so dramatically, if you had a crystal ball and we're looking ahead 1, 3, or 5 years out, what do you see on the horizon? What's coming in the world of marketing that's moving ever so quickly and evolving faster along with technology than any other aspect of the business? What do you see?
Oh, that's a really great question. There's a couple different places that I would take my answer for this, but I think from the franchise focus, one thing that I'm continuing to see more and more focus on, and I think that this is going to continue to evolve, is being able to provide more local marketing support to our franchisees and building that internally. And so one of the things that we're doing at our brands, starting with AlphaGraphics, is building an in-house agency to support our franchisees with their local digital marketing. But to be able to do that, because we have to be able to operate at scale in franchising. Like, we're not building huge teams to be able to do that. And so that's where it's leaning on technology and most specifically AI to be able to help make ourselves as effective and efficient as possible in that way. And so, like, for example, right now we are working on building marketing scorecards for our franchisees using AI, being able to determine like a health score for them in their marketing. That's going to help us cater our in-house agency, or what we're calling our digital service team, to provide localized support to our franchisees that can be scaled. And I think that that is a direction that I'm seeing more and more franchisors move, and we're going to keep going in that direction.
All right, we're coming around the final turn here, Stephanie. What have I not asked you today that perhaps you wished I did?
Stan, I think that there's probably hours and days of different topics that we could explore together, but I think we've covered some really important things here today. And I don't know if there's anything else that I need to add.
Well, then I'm going to ask you to add just one more thing, and that's contact info for those in the audience who like what they heard and want to hear more.
Yes, I would love to connect with anybody. You can find me on LinkedIn at Stephanie Johnson. There's quite a few of those out there. So searching for AlphaGraphics and POSTNET is the way to find me. And then you can also reach out to me at sjohnson@mbeglobal.com.
And for those who find Stephanie Johnson and want to be sure it's the right one, make certain it's the one that has a comma MSIMC following her name, correct?
Yes.
You're right. We could probably spend days longer talking, and I've enjoyed the conversation thoroughly and hope that we'll get a chance to meet face-to-face somewhere down the road sooner than later and resume where we left off.
I look forward to connecting with you too, Stan. I can't wait to see you at the next convention.
Ditto that. Thank you so much, Stephanie Johnson, Vice President of Marketing for AlphaGraphics, POSTNET and World Options, for joining us here today.
Thank you, Stan.
Well, that's a wrap for today, but there's plenty more in the weeks ahead. Remember to subscribe to Franchise Today wherever you chase podcasts, and I'll see you right back here next week. Until then, I'm Stan Friedman, wishing you the best, the very best of all things franchising, and Franchise Today is out.
Franchise Today is a production of FRM Solutions, providing best-in-class CRM tools to empower relationships with prospective and existing franchisees. Find them online at frmsolutions.com. Join Stan every Wednesday at noon Eastern for another episode of Franchise Today.
When it's PCS time, you know the drill. Pack, research the new base, get the kids in school, because family supports family. At American Public University, we support military families with flexible, affordable online education that moves with you. As a military spouse, your tuition rate is the same as your partner's, just $250 per credit hour. American Public University, education that moves with you. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.